What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video. We're for another Ring of Honor TV review. I'll say this now. There are a total of 15 matches that happened over the course of 2 hours and 15 minutes on this 48th episode of Ring of Honor. Now, normally, I kick this Ring of Honor reviews off with some Ring of Honor news. But that being said, I don't think there is any. And if there was, y'all probably just want me to get the damn review done with because there are 15 matches to talk about. So let's just do that. If there was Ring of Honor news and I forgot, I apologize. The first matchup, though, is the Righteous versus Kamaru Jackson and Anaya. Jackson and Dutch are the first two legal men. Jackson doesn't fare well against his opponents because it does not help that he was not able to make a tag, but he eventually does make the tag. The Righteous hit the Sunshine Rises on Anaya to pick up the victory. Next matchup is Nyla Rose versus Laney Luck. Nyla dominates early until a chokeslam attempt is reversed. Then Nyla dominates once again after a slam on the apron and then wins the match with the Beast Bomb. I will mention this now because there's a segment way later in the show. Nyla Rose, at some point, stole the gear from Athena, maybe after she attacked her at the training facility, and we have not seen Athena in the Ring of Honor arena since then, but Nyla Rose was throwing away a lot of Athena's ring gear that she had, and Lexi Nair came in to make a stop saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that, let's just calm down here. And Nyla tells Lexi Nair, hey, Athena's not coming back, so now I am the minion overlord, and you should tell Billy Starks that. And then she demands that Lexi Nair grabs the camera from the cameraman, in which the cameraman was like, this is an expensive camera. And then Nyla Rose puts him through a table with a Beast Bomb, Power Bomb. So there's that. I will say this. I am actually very intrigued by an Athena-Nyla Rose match. But will it take place? Because, Nyla Rose is telling us Athena is not coming back. We shall see. Next matchup is Aaron Solo versus Zach Knight. It's an immediate start to the match with both men exchanging punches. Zach has the advantage after some chops and a delayed suplex. He then hits another delayed suplex, but this one was off the second rope. Zach misses a Swanton Bomb, though, with Solo hitting a spinning kick and a foot stomp for a 2 count. Then Zach hits a forearm, a Razor's Edge into the turnbuckle, and another running forearm to pick up the victory. Next matchup, this one, this has been building up for a number of weeks. A tag team match between Cole Carter and Griff Garrison versus Angelico and Serpentico representing the Spanish Announce Project. Now, the story, there's an 8-man tag in which these 4 men were on the same team, and all 4 men blame the other team for why they lost that match. And then we've seen Cole Carter and Griff Garrison attack the Spanish Announce Project, mainly Serpentico, while he's been by himself for the past number of weeks to build up to this grudge match that takes place. Garrison and Angelico are the first 2 legal competitors, even though Carter helps Garrison out early once he was in trouble. You get tandem offense from both sides until Maria distracts Serpentico on the outside. Serpentico is able to get a tag to Angelico then, who takes out both Garrison and Carter. And then Carter helps Garrison get out of a figure 4 leg lock. Carter takes Angelico out by throwing him into the guardrail, while Serpentico hits a cutter on Garrison for a 2 count. Then I got very confused as the competitors in the ring got very confused as Maria pops up on the apron, and you would think, hey, she's just distracted Serpentico, but no. She distracts her own people that she is managing, as Cole Carter and Griff Garrison are also distracted, but this sets up Serpentico trying to roll up Garrison, but he only gets a 2 count out of this. Then after this, Cole Carter rips the mask off of Serpentico, with Garrison hitting a spinning forearm to pick up the victory as they tease the Spanish Announce Project after the match with the mask that they just took. We've got another tag team match after this one being the Outrunners versus Blake, Christian, and Willie Mack. Christian and Floyd are the first 2 legal competitors, but they mainly just taunt one another. Christian makes the tag after hitting a spear on Floyd. Then Mack hits both his opponents with a stunner and a standing moonsault. Then Christian hits a moonsault to the outside, while Mack hits a frog splash in the ring to pick up the victory for Willie Mack and Blake Christian. We got a couple more tag team matches to talk about, but this one It's a 6-woman tag team match. Lady Frost, Kiera Hogan, and Trish Adora versus Taya Valkyrie, Diamante, and Layla Gray. Taya and Kiera are the first 2 legal competitors, even though there are frequent tags that soon stop once Lady Frost is in the ring, and she takes a lot of damage. She does make the tag to Trish, who battles all the competitors, Diamante mainly. While Frost hits a moonsault to the outside, Diamante hits a crossroads on Adora to pick up the victory for her team. After this, we get a backstage interview. I almost said segment, or backstage interview between I was reading the last segment. Layla Hirsch and Rachel Ellering, and they are saying that they have built up a lot of chemistry between the two, mainly by going to dinner, and they tried to join a book club, but it didn't go out so well, and they did not explain what happened, so I will be wondering about that for a long time. But they do question, what does all this chemistry have to do with winning the women's television title tournament? They have not announced when, if, who, what, where this tournament is taking place. We're just going to have to question and wonder about that from now on. Next matchup, another tag team match. This one being a 6-man tag. The Iron Savages and Jack Jameson versus Lee Johnson and the Infantry. Johnson and Bronson are the first 2 legal men, but the real damage is done once Sean Dean is sent to blank city. I don't know if I could say this word on YouTube, so that's why I said blank city, but it is a area that, if I just rose up, you see it, and it rhymes with city. So if I can say that word on YouTube, please comment down below. You don't have to, but you know what the hell I'm talking about. That's where they got sent. Bravo hits a TKO on Bronson for a 2 count, and then Johnson hits a reverse DDT on Jameson to pick up the victory. Next, we get 2 very quick matches in the women's division. The first one being Red Velvet and Heather Reckless. Red Velvet wins the match with the mix, which is an SOS. I won't lie to you. Majority of this match, I was just very confused because they were just bouncing off the rope and throwing each other into the rope, and then Red Velvet hit the mix to win the matchup. I know, short and sweet. Pun, not intended, but definitely works out. The next one being Billy Starks versus Tootie Lynn. We get lots of kicks by Starks, which I feel might have been a little bit ironic because Tootie Lynn, they made sure to make note, is a karate master, even though she did very little to showcase that during this match. And then Billy Starks wins the match with the stage dive. Next matchup is Ethan Page versus Cody Lane. Cody spelled capital K-O-D-Y. Cody does put a fight on early, but Page gets his knees up after a dive by Lane, and then he moves out of the way of a Lane Lionsault, and then Page wins the matchup with an Ego's Edge. Next, probably the most interesting thing to take place on this episode of Ring of Honor, and it lasted like a minute. Jerry Lynn, Ring of Honor legend, former Ring of Honor World Champion, but more importantly, member of the board of directors, was going to be interviewed by Lexi Nair, but he does not get to say much because Dalton Castle finds where Johnny TV is in the arena, and he's trying to break into the locker room to get his hands on Johnny TV, but Jerry Lynn has to convince him, no, don't do that, because then you'll get suspended. And then Johnny TV still tells Dalton Castle, hey, you are not getting a match with me because you're not TV ready. And then he hits the splits, and then is like pulled away, because like Johnny TV's like, I got to split. Then he does the splits, and then is like pulled away through a curtain. I don't know how that's done. It's very interesting, and I feel you'll probably see it. If you go on wrestling social media this weekend, you might see it. Or might not. There's a lot going on. Next matchup is Robin Renegade versus Abaddon. As an immediate start after the Code of Honor is not taken by either, Abaddon hits the running knees for a 2 count, and then Abaddon bites Robin and follows this up with a head scissors, and then Abaddon wins the match with a Black Diamond, which I don't think I've ever seen this move, but it's essentially a DDT, but instead of using your arm, Abaddon used a leg. I feel so stupid explaining that, but the Black Diamond. If you know what it is, you saw it. I don't think I've ever seen it. Next matchup, John Cruz versus Jack Cartwheel. Now, I've covered a handful of Jack Cartwheel matches on this review series, and a lot of the matchup is cartwheels, but the real matchup is me having to say cartwheel hits a cartwheel, and then this matchup got very confusing because guess what? John Cruz is like, you know what? I'm going to hit some cartwheels as well. So you get cartwheels from both men early, and then Jack hits a cartwheel moonsault to the outside, but misses one once back in the ring. Cruz tries to keep him grounded after this point, which we obviously get more cartwheels from Cartwheel. That is an actual sentence I wrote down. And then Jack wins the matchup with a twisting moonsault. Next matchup, probably my favorite matchup of the night. Action Andretti versus Anthony Henry. And it was very weird because if you took like a glance, like I looked down to like write this match down, and then I looked up. Both men looked very similar because they have similar hairstyles, and Anthony Henry was not in his traditional wrestling trunks. He was in tights that were very similar to Action Andretti's. So I made sure to make note of that. Both reverse each other's maneuvers on the outside, and then Henry starts to target the left arm of Andretti. Andretti gets fired up after doing his water bottle trick. And then Andretti gets caught into an arm bar. Like I said, his arm was already targeted. Andretti hits a Spanish fly for a 2 count, and then Henry catches him with a forearm. And then both men exchange forearms after this, and Andretti wins the matchup with a big shotgun drop kick and a split-legged moonsault. Next matchup, a 4-corner survival that, not really a 4-corner survival. And I will say this, I have not seen these competitors in a hot minute in Ring of Honor, so it was nice to see them back. Slim J versus JD Drake versus Josh Woods versus Rocky Romero. And I just said it's a 4-corner survival. And it was very funny because I saw what Ring of Honor posted on X. Maybe you know it as Twitter. They said this was a survival of the fittest match. No. This is not a survival of the fittest match. Slim J and Romero are immediately thrown to the outside, which this leads to Drake and Woods exchanging forearms in the ring, and then Slim J throws Romero back in the ring, with Romero attempting a tope suicida, but is reversed by Josh Woods catching him and slamming him. Slim J and Woods try to double team Romero after this, but JD comes in to save the day. Romero dives onto all of his opponents on the outside. Drake hits a cannonball and a moonsault on Woods, but Slim J breaks up the pinfall attempt, and then Romero wins the match. I don't even know. I'm so upset. We're 13 minutes into this review. Kamigoye is what it's called. It's essentially a sling blade, and I'm glad I could not read my own handwriting. It's a Kamigoye. It's a slingshot. I don't know why it is called that. I'm going to look it up. It is a confusing ass word to say, but Rocky Romero picked up the victory. That being said, this is a little side note. Rocky Romero is one of the hardest working men currently in the wrestling business because he appears on AEW a lot. He appears on Ring of Honor a handful of times. He appears in CMLL a lot. He appears in MLW a lot. And he definitely appears in New Japan a lot because he's one of the main guys backstage there. So that's like 5 companies I just named, while also doing a lot of stuff on top of that. I wanted to give some kudos to Rocky Romero, who has won the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships the most out of any person with different partners. I believe commentary said it's him and Matt Taven. They're neck and neck because they made note of that because the main event matchup was up next. A Proving Ground match featuring the Undisputed Kingdom and Gravity, or versus Gravity and Gringo Loco. Taven and Gringo Loco are the first 2 to start the match with a series of arm drags and drop kicks between them. Loco hits a dive to the outside, but essentially is just double teamed and beat up the rest of this match after this, and the Kingdom win the match with the spike pile driver. I believe it is called the End Zone. I forgot to write that down because I already had wrote down spiked pile driver to wrap up this long-ass episode of Ring of Honor. That being said, I didn't hate this episode. I know I might have came out thinking that and portraying that because it was 2 hours and 15 minutes, and a lot of the matches were very quick and to the point. But in the grand scheme of things, I liked it enough to review it for all of you. I probably should shut up because I'm going to start saying random ass shit because sometimes I struggle to wrap up my videos. But I would say definitely my favorite matchup and thing on the episode was Action Andretti versus Anthony Henry, or Johnny TV doing the splits. That being said, like I said last week, I'll say it again this week. I have no clue what's going to happen on next week's episode, and hopefully you tune in to my review next week to see what also takes place. And we're 2 episodes away. We got episode 49, which is, important. But the more important, episode number 50 in 2 weeks. So hopefully I'll see you in both, and in the rest of my Ring of Honor reviews and the rest of my videos. My foot's asleep. I gotta go pee. I gotta also go stay safe. Hopefully you do the same. Thank you for watching again. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.